What's up, everyone? My name is Tyler VSNYC, and this is episode 4 of the 3 Body Problem Review Reaction Series. By the way, you can also follow me on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, by the same handle if you want more of me in your life. Okay, we're going to go through 4 chapters today because one a little boring. Oh, hold on. You all have never met Shady. This is my dog. Come here, Shady. Sometimes when I do video calls or things, Shady wants to come say hi. Oh, she also keeps me warm. This is Shady. She's a 52-pound pit bull. I joke that she's my secretary, just typing away the minutes. So let's just get into it with Shady. Or not. Okay, chapter 10, Shady had to go. We have Wang and Dashi chatting, and Dashi has some very insightful ideas about what is going on in Wang's life. Wang asks Dashi, who is doing this to me? Who is in control of the countdown? Who is persecuting all these other scientists? And Dashi says, I have no idea, but I can sense the plan. A very comprehensive, intricate plan. Damage scientific research installations, kill scientists, drive scientists like you crazy, and make you commit suicide. But the main goal is to misdirect your thoughts until you're even more foolish than ordinary people. That is on page 135 of the 3 Body Problem. Wang goes on to say, how did you figure this out? You're not a scientist. And Dashi says, well, if someone's practicing pseudoscience and is trying to cause trouble like this, it's often the scientist that cannot figure it out. And here is what Dashi says about that. Pseudoscience is afraid of one particular type of people who are very hard to fool. Stage magicians. In fact, many pseudoscientific hoaxes were exposed by stage magicians. Compared to the bookworms of the scientific world, your experience as a cop makes you far more likely to perceive such a large-scale conspiracy. As one commenter has pointed out in my other videos, I'm a pool player. I'm also a magician. I perform at a show in New York called Speak Easy Magic, and so I feel particularly able to speak to this point of what magicians would be able to sense that others wouldn't. Magicians are really good at directing attention in both physical ways, verbal ways, and emotional ways. We're good at directing. Scientists are not good at directing. They're good at showing. They're good at saying, look, this thing weighs 35 pounds. But a magician is able to say, like hold something like it's very heavy, although it's very light. So magicians are good at making you feel like something's heavy when scientists are able to just, I guess, show you. And that's what Dashi is feeling here, is the pull of a plot of not just what is happening, but why it is happening. And this is on the next page. What do you think the enemy is afraid of? Wang asked Dashi. And Dashi says, you, scientists. The odd thing is that the less practical your research, the more they're afraid of you. Like abstract theories, the kind of thing Yang Dong worked on. They are more frightened of such work than you are of the universe winking at you. That's why they're so ruthless. If killing you would solve the problem, you'd all be dead by now. But the most effective technique remains disrupting your thoughts. When a scientist dies, another will take its place. But if his thoughts are confused, then science is over. This is a really perceptive thought, I believe, by Dashi. And it goes back to the beginning of the book when it was in the 1960s and the Cultural Revolution was taking place and scientists were being persecuted back then. They weren't just trying to kill scientists. No, no, no. They had to get them to recant first. It's not enough that if you know relativity, you're dead. It's that we have to confuse you and future scientists from coming up with that again. I believe it was Neil deGrasse Tyson I heard say something like this, but if you burned all the copies of Three Body Problem, it would be gone forever because it came from Louis Shin's head. But if you burned all the math books in the world, they would just grow back. People would discover the same things. And so that is what the enemy is doing. It is attacking the scientific process. And it is doing so not by just killing scientists, but by driving them nuts. Very, very important point. Also, was beautifully illustrated in the pool scene a couple chapters earlier that I didn't comment too much on because I wanted to get to this point right here of it's a lovely illustration of this point of we don't want to kill pool players. We want to make it so pool doesn't exist. Physics doesn't exist anymore. It's not working. I've taken the shot 1,000 times, but now the ball flies out of the window. And so I don't want to play pool anymore. That is what these characters are going through. That is why they are saying physics does not exist. Great character, Dashi. I hope that he is portrayed well in the upcoming Netflix series. But let's keep moving on to the next couple chapters. Okay, next chapter, chapter 11. We see Wang going back into the three-body computer program. And this chapter is a bit of a foil to his first trip into the three-body problem, where the first trip into the three-body saw civilization ended in a decades-long freeze that no dehydrated or not body could survive. This time, he sees a sunrise that is so large and so intense that he sees smoke coming over the horizon and people running and yelling, dehydrate, dehydrate, but it is too late, and this game of three-body ends with civilization dying because the sun is too big. Now, I love putting myself in the place of these characters because the way that they are interpreting what is going on will be very important soon. I think that's true of any book, that obviously, but Wang is now experiencing two different realities. The reality on Earth when the scientific method is being attacked. It is a world where there are patterns. You can discern things. You can figure things out. You can play pool. Pool exists. It's a fun game. But the scientific method is being attacked. And so the desire to engage and figure out those patterns is disrupted. That is on Earth. In the three-body problem, you see the opposite. You see people toying with different levels of scientific research, trying to figure out what is going on in this computer program. And the reason I struggle there is because it is the scientific method. They're trying things unclear of the scientific veracity, I guess, of their experiments. But one is a non-chaotic world, Earth, and the scientific method is being attacked. And the other is a chaotic world, three-body, but the scientific method isn't doing any good. In both places, Wang must be really frustrated because either he can work but he doesn't want to, or he can but his work isn't doing any good. So that is the duplicity that he is going through right now. At the end of this, game of three body, he goes to see our old friend Wenjie, and that will be the next chapter. Over the next three chapters, we see Wang with Wenjie in her home, and she begins to tell him her story of working at Red Coast. And honestly, there's not much to tell on chapter 12. It's the beginning of her time at the Red Coast. She's not immediately trusted because she's a bit of a political prisoner. I don't know why I said a bit there, but she's a political prisoner, so she's not trusted, but she's very capable, so she rises in her responsibility. And at the end of chapter 12, I believe, they tell her what they're really doing there, and that is looking for alien life. And the next chapter is what looks like an official government document about reaching out to aliens and some of our first communications with them. And at the beginning of the chapter, it says that this was declassified years after Wang's conversation with Wenjie. So Wang doesn't know yet that Wenjie, in fact, made contact with the aliens at Red Coast. This is the reader's first time in hearing that humans have made contact with aliens. At the end of the chapter, it says, how wonderful it will be if, this is, by the way, humans, a draft of our message to the aliens. How wonderful it will be if the universe really contains other intelligences by other societies. Bystanders have the clearest view. Someone truly neutral will be able to comment on whether we're the heroes or villains of history. Actually, that was instructions to central leadership. Basically, they're toying around with beginning to talk to alien life. And over the next chapter, Wang and Wenjie finish their conversations, and Wang still doesn't know that contact was made. He still thinks Wenjie is this nice, sad older woman because her daughter just died, and that's all he knows. Here's a quote that I find particularly poignant at the end of chapter 14. This is Wenjie talking about what the pursuit of alien life looks and feels like. From time to time, I would gaze up at the stars after a night shift and think that they looked like a glowing desert, when it's really a dark forest, by the way. Interesting, never really thought of that. And myself was a poor, abandoned child in the desert. I thought that life was truly an accident among accidents in the universe. The universe was an empty palace, a humankind only an ant in the entire palace. This kind of thinking infused the second half of my life with a conflicted mentality. Sometimes I thought life was precious and everything was so important, but other times I thought humans were insignificant and nothing was worthwhile. Anyway, my life passed day after day accompanied by this strange feeling, and before I knew it, I was old. Anyway, my life passed day after day accompanied by this strange feeling, and before I knew it, I was old. I would classify Wenjie as someone who loves humans but despises humanity. And I think her and Luoji in the second book are the best characters in these books because she has that dimensionality to her, that conflict that will never stop. That's episode 4. Happy holidays, everyone, wherever you are. I hope you're well. And I'll see you soon.